Hello everybody and welcome back to Anne of Green Gables, the 1979 anime. So yeah, today is where we're going to actually get the first proper, what becomes one of the big things what I wanted to do when it comes to this anime, which is serve as a reminder of this anime as a definitive adaptation compared to the most recent adaptation, which is Netflix's show Anne with an E. Basically, you're probably wondering, wait, why does an adaptation of Anne of Green Gables is called Anne with an E? Well, this episode actually will explain that to you, because that's an actually iconic line from chapter 3, which is what chapter this episode is covering. So basically, stay tuned for that. But that's the basic gist of it. All right, we all know how it is. Go on YouTube; it's right there on the link on the description. So you should be in synchronized if you start at 0. Yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Click. So yeah, this episode is called Marilla Cuthbert is Surprised, which ends the chapter 1 and ends chapter 2, of the book, and also covers the entirety of chapter 3 of the book, which is also called Marilla Cuthbert is Surprised.
It's like in Scrubs when every episode is titled "My Something." Here it is titled "Some Person X is Surprised."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me guess. It's eventually going to culminate with God is surprised.
No. This chapter is the last one where somebody is surprised in the name.
Okay, so, and what have you said?
Yeah, I was just going to say, is this the end of the surprise saga?
Okay, and would have suggested instead to go full circle instead of a chapter where Anne is surprised.
No.
That would have been neat. I can't wait to see what this copulates to in the story.
Remember, Jova, it's an opening, so probably 90% of what happens in it doesn't actually happen in the show.
Yes, like, I don't think she'll be literally flying with a horse on the ground.
This intro is much like with other anime intros. They're all supposed to be esoteric stuff.
I can tell you this, Jova, there's not like a twist at the end where she like dies and that's her going
Episode 2, Marilla Cuthbert is Surprised.
Korano sponsor no tekyu de okurishimasu.
Very good, Tio.
For a reference audience, I still have to check a list of the official, English voice actors, but I'm not giving up on that.
I was able to find a couple too, but that's it. All right.
Here at SCWRM, when we look at our most obscure stuff, we do our best to see who is credited, even if it takes a seance to figure it out.
I'll talk a bit more after the episode is over.
Oh, okay, I gotta say, some of his background look like Bob Ross paintings. The answer to Anne's life is, of course, with a couple of more happy little clouds.
I don't know, I'd imagine she'd quite like Bob Ross.
Oh, well.
Hold on. Anne wants to stop here for a while.
Do you ever
Delaying
wonder?
the inevitable, I see.
Do you ever wonder when we look into our reflections if it's
This is Barry's pawn.
into an alternate dimension?
This is Barry's pawn. The book describes this book as a very beautiful vista and all that. And yeah, the artist did a great job in making.
Guys, feel the sweat and tears behind this art.
Of the animators.
You will appreciate it.
That's a still image.
For the reflection, it wasn't. I get the idea, but it wasn't probably as easy as just to flip the image for that.
Probably.
Yeah. Also, yes, I've seen Fantasia too.
So yeah, she really likes the beautiful lake, so she also names it. So let's see what name she gave to it.
And it shall be called Crystal Lake.
Nah, that's too plain tale. When Anne comes up with a name, she doesn't kid around, as you're about to hear.
Bob.
No.
It's Titanidus.
Seriously?
Pardon?
There you go. That's
that was a sentence.
that shall be this name of this lake, the Lake of Shining Waters.
Of course.
It's kind of Was the Canadian government that lazy that they did not actually give names to the landscapes? And poor Anne had to do all the job.
That's one. Hold on.
I don't even know anymore. I'll just.
These conversations
That
make me feel
happened.
drunk.
But it's okay, because Matthew has some goodness for her.
Of course you would.
What a coincidence.
Oh, nice.
Every new thing for Anne, it's like a sugar saccharine overdose.
All right, we're literally arriving right now.
He's trying to
Wow.
drive, child.
You could have killed us there.
Yes, and you would never have been able to open your eyes again.
Stare.
Oh,
This isn't Twilight. Blink.
Stare. She still hasn't blinked.
You have chosen wisely.
The horse approves.
Wisely. And I'm certain nothing bad could possibly happen to me at that.
And meanwhile, Matthew is miserable inside.
This journey
It's
just
like,
feels
fuck my
longer and
life.
longer every second pass.
Where did I go wrong?
I think it started when you were born.
Yeah, it's like Squidward.
or like the assistant,
sorry.
the prince assistant in the Princess and the Frog.
Is this going to be the whole show, her being a chatterbox?
Well, she's a chatterbox, yes, but there's more to
We
the
need
show,
to see
yes.
what that applies to different kind of characters' lives, the interactions that may result from that exchange.
Yeah, I get the thing. We're mainly still in
The whole
setup
show,
phase,
the
technically.
whole show is just the characters being themselves, living their own lives, Dips. And that's it. That's all the show is. Just the lives of these people unfolding before us.
It's slice of life without the weirdness of slice of life shows nowadays.
Basically, you can put it that
Like
way.
I said, it's kind of like Higurashi,
Alright,
just without
and
the mystery.
we're about to transition from chapter 2 of the book to chapter 3 of the book right about now. There you go.
Then she was put down onto the floor, end of chapter 2.
There you go. Now we're officially in chapter 3 of the book right now.
Chapter 3, we're home. That's the name of the chapter, we're home.
Rude.
Actually, this is the
Yeah,
little boy.
It's a person. Like,
You're saying this
What a
right in front of
one-
the poor girl.
Well, sure, as you can probably imagine, they're not very good at this whole handling a kid thing.
The narration at the beginning did mention the fact that neither of them managed to construct a family, so
Yes, leave her on the station all alone where somebody could kidnap or kill her. Put you on the spot. Third time this week.
So, you're okay, you're turning into speed.
That's just
Oh, make yourself at home at the table?
that's just the dub whips.
Well,
You know, you probably should have said
and to think the week started so nice.
I mean, considering how apparently, according to her, the sensible thing to do would have been to have just left the girl out in the cold and dark.
Oh no, don't worry,
exactly the
Joe.
best
Don't worry, Joe. But she's about to correct herself on that statement anyway. That was just a heat of the moment thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a foot and mouth at that.
Well, I mean, yeah, you made a child cry.
I have no soul, therefore I cannot cry.
Remind me again the year this takes place. Well, not even a specific one, again, period.
1897, if I remember correctly. I'll look it up in a moment.
Ye old times.
Sure. No, I just wanted to have a better idea potentially for later.
Not entirely.
This one.
But
There you
yeah.
go. So what's your name?
I thought you were called Anne.
Why? No.
Because it's the name of a Fire Emblem character? I don't know.
She thinks the name sounds much more beautiful than just plain Anne. Dwibs.
The name sounds cool.
To make it feel more special.
Okay, I actually don't know how this detail was handled in my country's version, since the character is strictly called Anna instead.
Oh, I'll on too. Wow, that's literally the exact same thing she says in the book. Yeah, exactly. See, there you go. This is what makes the dynamic between both of them really good. The fact that they're literally opposites. She's incredibly romantic, and Marilla is a very down-to-earth person.
She's the perfect foil, and someone to maybe show him that she doesn't need to rename everything.
There you go. That's where Anne with an E got its title from.
You know, it's a very good job we don't have anyone here called Anne with an E, otherwise that'd be very confusing.
That's an ultimatum.
Yeah. If you let me stay here, I'll take the E off the price.
Alright, here, listen here. Hold on.
Yes, they can.
Yep. There you go. That's basically because, like I said, Lucy Maud Montgomery was a very progressive woman for her time, and that's her subtle way of, making some commentary there. Yeah. Remember, Matthew's not really good at handling these kinds of situations.
Out of this situation.
Well, he always nopes. He always nopes these situations, so he's not good at handling conflict. That's the thing.
Honestly, his sister's this stubborn, I'd probably find a way to nope out too.
Yeah.
Well, Shiroi, maybe she just needs some joy in her life.
And singing.
No.
No, not singing.
There will be no
Although this show does have songs occasionally. Not musical numbers, I mean songs that play during certain montages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that's what she looks like without her hat.
Yes,
Yeah.
a person with red hair, like we already knew.
A very, very big forehead.
Is she,
Yes.
is she one of Haru's ancestors or something?
Possibly. Which were you talking about?
The one from Persona 5, the one with a big forehead.
That would make a lot of sense, actually.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're both orphans, so...
Okay, so...
She does look a bit like Haru, too, facially.
Come on, Anne. Eat something.
You can tell the air can be cut in half for how thick it is.
Oh,
You can cut the tension in with a knife.
well, that's the whole thing. Like, Lucy and by extension Takahata know exactly how to make good dramatic tension just based on real life stuff. You don't need, without having to have any kind of, big supernatural stuff in it.
You've never been down in the
I
dumps.
don't believe you.
Oh, here you go.
That's the best thing to say in front of her.
Okay. Yeah, but I like Ken's response. Didn't you ever even try to imagine what that would be like? No. But it's interesting because this is actually one of those things where I can tell that these translators probably didn't read the book and just translated off the German dub, because in the actual book she doesn't say down in the dub, she says, "I can't eat, I'm in the depths of despair," which of course is much more eloquent and befitting of her character. But for some reason here they just say down in the dumps, but whatever. Keep that in mind for later.
Mm-hmm.
For a later episode. Understandable. She's way too disturbed.
Also, you literally just told her you didn't want her.
Well, Shiroi, you have to understand that they need a boy to help out in the farm. Like a girl is, and yes, like Anne herself said, a girl would be just as capable of doing farm work as a boy. But this novel takes place in the 1800s, so you have to understand that mentalities were very old-fashioned back then.
No, I get that, but saying that in front of her?
Well, Shiroi, as I've just discovered, obviously Marilla doesn't have that much stat because she's never dealt with a child before, so this is all new territory for her. Don't worry, Shiroi. I mean, I'm sure...
Again, considering how she was talking about before even Anne showed up, it seems more like they just needed someone to work for them rather than to genuinely adopt a child.
That probably makes it a little...
Oh, here we go. Here we go, Shiroi. The book takes place... sorry, Teo, what I'm asked. It takes place... Teo, the entire story takes place over the course of 1876 all the way to 1881.
Thank you.
There you go. So yeah, the late 19th century.
Yep. What a pleasant mother she'd make.
Well, maybe she just needs to learn.
Does fire give you PTSD?
No, it's just that like she's just so distraught over the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Anne. I actually disagree with you. I actually think your hair looks rather nice.
Left it all strewn over the floor. What a pigsty.
But yeah, sure. Everybody has their character flaw, and in Marilla's case, this is it. She's not really good at handling. She doesn't have much tact for handling children, obviously.
And like we mentioned, it stands more for a lack of experience than anything.
Yeah.
It seems like she kind of feels a little bad.
Oh, she does. It's just that, you know, at the same time... Oh, hold on. Yeah, there you go. See, her face says it all. She doesn't really know how to respond to her because she doesn't know how children react to things. So that's her Marilla's promise that she's expecting Anna to take this to take this maturely, but of course she wouldn't because she's 11. But yeah, so it's just a really gap of generations and, you know, overall life experience that, and Marilla doesn't really know how to react to it. That's what I love so much about the book, and by extension this anime. It deals with human all day long issues that can be interesting if the writer knows what he's doing just on their own. Yeah. See, the thing is, but not to mention, sure, she has to try to be sensible, and you know, like Matthew.
It won't happen, I swear to God it will not happen.
She's a nice change of pace compared to you.
Matthew has a good idea. There you go.
So you're one of those children are to be seen and not heard type of folk, aren't you?
Apparently.
Wow, he's really fighting for her.
Well, unlike Marilla, he actually fully got to know her over the course of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Matthew wants to hire a French boy to help him in the farm. That way, Anne can be company to her. But again, I'm not suffering for company. Thank you. Are you sure about that, Marilla?
Having second thoughts, are we?
Not quite yet. All right, here you go. Basically, like I've said before, sometimes there will be some either big happy montages or sad montages at the song of a song. The interesting thing is that for this English dub, the actress playing Anne also sings the song. Then, yeah, she's actually not bad. Good job. This is actually one actual advantage of the dub probably being made in South Africa, because if this was made in North America, probably they would have replaced this song with some kind of original synth music of themselves, you know, because usually
depends. It depends.
If it had been done in actually Canada, like you suggested, Pedro, definitely.
I know this one.
Canada, yeah. Canada,
symbolism.
Could do that than America.
Did you notice how the white way of the light got all dark and creepy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting because this is actually one of those things that Takata added. Because the book doesn't describe that she has a nightmare. But yeah, this actually is a good visual way of illustrating Anne's current status emotionally.
Next morning.
Enjoy it while it lasts, honey.
You're definitely going home.
Absolutely.
Totally.
I mean, how was this show that acclaimed is really short?
All right. Yes. The next episode. So the next episode is episode 3, Anne of Green Gables, which covers the 4th chapter of the book. Sorry. The next episode is called Morning at Green Gables. Sorry, Morning at Green Gables.
I thought the episode was going to be called Anne of Green Gables, episode 3.
Yeah.
Bye then.
Yeah. The next episode is called Morning at Green Gables, which also happens to be the name of the 4th chapter of the book. Again, have you got? Hey, Joe, a question. Since you're very vocal about Disney's Artemis Fowl, what do you think of a World Masterpiece Theater treatment of the Artemis Fowl novel? Do you think there's potential in that?
Are World Master Theater still a thing?
Unfortunately not, but hypothetically.
I mean, given how definitely attuned to the book they seem to be getting, yeah, I could have digged that.
Mm-hmm. It's a shame it's not a thing anymore.
Well, hey, at least it lives on in Ace Attorney.
All right, before we move,
according to what you told me.
Right, yeah. Before we move on, I actually would like to bring some minor things from the actual chapter 3 of the book, because it's actually quite interesting, everybody. And by the way, everybody, I'm going to ask Teo to also give you guys a link to the book. And before anyone says anything, everybody, here's an interesting fact for you guys. The Anne of Green Gables is actually the first of 8 novels. Because Lucy also wrote 7 more novels detailing the rest of Anne's life. But the first one is the one that's the most popular and considered the best in general. But here's an interesting thing.
Does this anime combine those books?
No, this anime is only the first book.
I know that there has been more recently another anime series directly connected to this one that is based on one of the later books.
Yes,
really?
yes. Basically in 2009, Nippon Animation actually did make a prequel series to this one called Before Green Gables, which is an adaptation of the prequel novel to this one. Problem is that prequel novel is not all that great. It wasn't written by Lucy. It was written way after her death. It's fine, but
her granddaughter or something.
I don't think so. It was written by someone unrelated. The Montgomery estate approved it, but it wasn't written by a Montgomery. No. But anyway, the point is, everybody, don't worry about going into that link that Theo is sending you with the book. Here's an interesting thing that the Montgomery estate tries to hide. The first book is now public domain. So.
Oh, did it become public domain along with the other batch, like in 2019, like Tarzan?
No, the sequels are still copyrighted, but through various shenanigans, they allowed the first book's copyright to expire, and so the book that we're covering in this series is actually public domain as of right now. So you don't have to feel any bad at all for reading. Unlike what the Montgomery estate would have you believe, because they kind of try to keep it hush hush. The first book is now public domain, so it is your entire legal right to read this on the internet for free. Don't worry. But yeah, here's an interesting thing about.
It's more for Disney to try and make a film out of, because that's what they always do.
That could be interesting if they do it right.
Here's an we don't need to. With this adaptation is a definitive adaptation. There's no need for more. Unlike don't worry, Dwebs. We already kind of did that with Netflix's Anne with an E. But I don't want to go into a rant about Anne with an E. Anyway,
that's not Disney then. So
anyway, here's an interesting thing. Going back to Lucy's original novel. Yeah, this book was written in 1908, and it kind of shows, because the way this is written is a bit weird. Here's what Marilla says in the book right after she first notices that Matthew came home with a girl. And I'm quoting right now. "Matthew Cuthbert, who's that?" she ejaculated. "Where is the boy?" No, I'm not kidding. This is what this is what is written in the book. Look it up, everybody. It's right there in the description. I'm not kidding.
It's probably a synonymous for shouting.
In that case, yes, she ejaculated very loudly at him.
There you go, right there. "Matthew Cuthbert, who's that?" she ejaculated. "Where is the boy?" Marilla, please don't ejaculate on Matthew, if you don't mind.
No.
Hey! I'm just reading.
Typo.
It is part of the daily routine and something every
No,
proper lady does.
that's the thing.
Sees fit.
That's the thing, Shiroi. I looked it up. No. This is back in 1908. Apparently, this was used as a way of saying shouting. It's not,
yes, absolutely.
Apparently,
Sure, you'd be surprised at how many words that have more double entendres sayings these days were used prim and proper.
Remember, Shiroi, this book is over 120 years old at this point. So, yeah.
It's very awkward now, but yes.
Well, sure. There's nothing wrong with a woman ejaculating to a man.
How does a human...
wants to get his attention.
No. But okay. To be fair, like I said, remember, right, this was written 120 years ago. So, obviously, people talked differently back then. Obviously, if this book was written today, she wouldn't... If Lucy was alive today and was writing this book today, she would have phrased this differently, obviously.
Or maybe just to be cheeky, since it technically does mean to shout, she would have still worded it that way.
It's not used at all nowadays, is it, though? I don't hear anybody using this specific meaning.
Some people, when they're trying to be fancy, still use those old terms here and there.
I guess, but at the same time, I'm actually... but that's okay, whatever. Like, it's just again, it's just a consequence of the movie being a part of its time. So, okay. But aside from that, exactly. There you go. Right. Here's what she says. Here's what happens in the book. She says, "You're not eating anything," said Marilla sharply, eyeing her if it were a serious shortcoming, and sighed. "I can't. I'm in the depths of despair." "Can you eat when you are in the depths of despair?" "I've never been in the depths of despair, so I can't say," responded Marilla. "Weren't you? Well, did you ever try to imagine you were in the depths of despair?" "No, I didn't." "Then I don't think you can understand what it's like. It's a very uncomfortable feeling indeed." So there you go. Aside from the whole down in the dumps thing, the conversation is the same. I'm guessing.
It's a tiny detail.
Oh, I'm not crapping on the dub for the job. I just thought it would be an interesting difference to point out. She deliberately picked up on his clothes, blah, blah, blah. She said, "Good night," she said, a little awkwardly, but not unkindly. Anne's white face and big eyes appeared over the bedclothes with a startling sadness. "How can you call it a good night when you know it must be the very worst night I've ever had?" Yeah, this line was literally copy-pasted into the dub that we just watched, literally. Then she drove down into invisibility again. Marilla went to... So there you go. It's just I just wanted to bring up the ejaculation bit. Because
why not?
Because it's just a fun thing that I found out when I first read the book. So it's interesting. Again, like I said, Webs. Sometime books from that are a century old are gonna have outdated writing in them. It's unavoidable. You know, you can't fault Lucy for speaking the way other people spoke in her time. You know.
Hey, look. Let's, to be fair, if anything, blame the future for ruining the term.
There you go.
.exe is not working right.
Alright, while I tried to restart Dwebs.exe, Shira, why don't you give your thoughts?
It was good. Well, it was pretty miserable, but it was still good.
Well, it's a miserable situation, so it kind of should be.
I'm not sure what else to say other than that, really.
Too.
This was the last episode I saw, so yeah, everything else will be new to me from here.
Like I said, it's, again, fine. The most, which probably will be the most recurring fan thoughts for me, because in each episode I'll probably just compliment mostly just the artistic direction, presentation, and, the score. The voice acting starts to tanking a bit, I admit, and voice actress struggles a bit when it comes to the whole crying scene. I get that she's trying, but she's not that much powerful, sadly. But I get what we're going for.
I suppose she was the best South Africa could get for the role. Because,
again, considering the circumstances, I'm not too, I don't want to be too judgmental on that front. I just wanted to notice that bit. But otherwise, again, it's fine, honestly. But that's pretty much it for me.
Jova.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I will agree that it does feel like the voice acting is starting to take a bit of a hit with this episode, but hopefully it'll get better from here and there.
It does.
Otherwise, yeah, it's a good episode. Good animation. good mood setting here and there. I do wonder how the pacing will be throughout this anime, though. Like, the pacing so far has been good. I do wonder if it may meander a bit later, because from what I understand, there's a lot to unpack here and there, and this is just the first book.
Well, yeah, the thing is, Jova, the pacing is going to be very realistic in the sense that, like, we're just, every time someone is, reacting to something, they will react in an appropriate, realistic manner, even if it means, like, sometimes we'll have a quiet moment where you just see the character looking down and thinking about things. It's a very methodically paced anime, like that tries to properly recreate what Lucy Maud Montgomery wrote in the book. So you'll see for yourself.
So from what you told me, one of the sequels actually did get an anime, and not the prequel one, but like one of the sequels apparently did.
The prequel novel got an anime.
Just the prequel.
The sequel. That's the sad part, Jova. Only the first two books got proper faithful adaptations. Any other because the third of the 1980s live-action movies went off completely in its own different direction, and with an E went into its own completely different direction, and for the worst, might I add, in season 2. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding, Jova. And with an E stops being an adaptation when season 2 starts. Basically, it becomes its own fanfic, basically. And no, not really. See, the problem with Anne of N.E. is that it replaces the subtlety of the book with generic TV melodrama. For example, Dwips, right from the beginning, you get flashbacks of Anne being beaten up by the people that she lived with before the beginning of the book. And for the record, none of that crap is in the book. It's just put in there for this. Oh, let's give Anne a very dark backstory with people beating the crap out of her. Dibs, finish off, please.
It's one of those shows, very slow burner, considering what kind of genre it is. And overall, it's engaging at the very least. So in terms of slow shows that have a slow setup, it's one of the better ones I've seen.
Don't worry, Dibs. I assure you, as it goes on, it gets better and better. I assure you.
And that's coming from me, the most impatient person on the planet.
You know what? I can answer you for you, even if you can't. You know why? Because even if you're not necessarily invested quite yet, you at the very least find the characters entertaining and interesting just based on the, because that's what Lucy did so well in the novel. She makes the characters very real, like to the point where you can really see where they're coming from. Even Marilla, obviously, Shira probably has a problem with Marilla and how she's handled things, but at the same time, when you think about her history, where she never got a family, she has never handled children, you can understand why Marilla acts the way she does, because she doesn't know how to deal with children. She's never had to, so of course she's gonna make mistakes like these. It's it grounds the character in a way that's very relatable and real. There you go. That's why it's enjoyable, because lives of people are just interesting in general. Like, you just need to know how to write them properly. Go ahead, Dibs. Sorry.
That's it.
All right, everybody. So that was Anne of the Green Gables episode 2. Tune in next time for episode 3. Hopefully, we'll be a bit more cheerful. Not quite yet, sadly. It will still be sad, but don't worry. The happy times will come. Remember, like Walt Disney said, for every smile there must also be a tear. So we're going to get a few tears and then smiles to make up for it. So don't worry, Shiori. The smiles will come eventually.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.